I am doing an interview with my father, Bob Deane. He was in the Air Force during World War II. And he was a POW in Germany. Okay, were you drafted in the war?
No, dear. I enlisted in the Army Air Corps.
And when was that?
1942.
Okay, you were a pilot, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay, what happened to your plane when you were shot?
When you're flying combat missions, there are three ways that your plane can get into trouble. One, you can have engine problems. Two, you can be hit upon by enemy fighter planes. And number three, enemy anti-aircraft fire. All three happened to me the day I was shot down. I lost one engine over Germany, another one just going into the target by aircraft, and the third engine was knocked out by ACAC or flak enemy aircraft, or enemy artillery fire.
And you parachuted out?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and where did you land?
Landed in northwestern Germany near Hanover.
Okay, after they found you, where did they take you?
They took us to a Luftwaffe air base where we were treated very well, really. There's a certain comradeship among pilots that seems to be international. And they did treat us very well on this Luftwaffe base. A couple of 3 days later, Luftwaffe is the German Air Force.
Okay.
A couple of days later, they sent us to Frankfurt. There's two Frankfurts in Germany. This is on the Main River, to an interrogation center, and their prison life really began.
Okay, how did they treat you when you got there?
In the interrogation center, we were put into solitary confinement. Spent about 10 days under those conditions, and that was pretty miserable. After that, they sent us to what was referred to as a propaganda camp, where everything was milk and honey, so to speak. You're well fed, you had beds, clean sheets, almost like being at home. But this was strictly for propaganda purposes. After 3 or 4 days there, they sent us on to regular stalags, or POW camps.
Okay, what was your daily routine at the camps?
Daily routine was boredom, boredom, boredom. There wasn't a heck of a lot to do. Wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, what there was of it. Walk around, play poker, play pinochle, play chess. Let's say mostly boredom. We'd read, listen to the same records over and over again.
So they didn't have you work at all?
No, they didn't. By the terms of the Geneva Convention in Germany, to a great extent, did abide by those terms. Officers or non-commissioned officers could not be made to work. They could, if they wished, volunteer for work or volunteer for supervisory capacity labor. None of us ever volunteered for that because it simply meant that those that had to work would not get any of the easy jobs if those of us that didn't have to work volunteered for them.
Okay, how did you become an officer?
We go through training school here in the States, sort of officers training, yeah.
Okay. Okay, the teacher said that when he was a little kid, he made little boxes and they sent him to the Red Cross. Did you receive any of those boxes?
Actually, I don't think we received any of those boxes. Early on, we used to get boxes from the International Red Cross. Now, these were packaged someplace in the United States, mass-produced more or less. They weren't civilian packaged. They were sent to the International Red Cross by way of Switzerland and then to us. When Germany was winning the war, we seemed to get plenty to eat, but once they started losing the war and their lines of supply were cut and their food supply was cut at the same time, they were eating the Red Cross packages more often than we were.
So it was food they were sending you?
Yeah,
And you never received the packages with the toothpaste and toothpaste?
Well, once in a while, not, I guess once in a while we did, come to think of it, but by the time we got it, it wasn't worth very much because the Germans are very suspicious of that type of thing. So if you received a tube of toothpaste, or actually they wouldn't allow toothpaste, it was canned tooth powder, they would cut the can open, and by the time you got it, there wasn't very much left in it.
Oh, okay. Did you guys have a radio there?
We had underground radios, yes. We picked up the various parts, spare parts, by bribes and means of our own. We did have radios. We had our own source of information, which was 180 degrees opposed to the information the German radio gave us for the most part.
Okay, how was the weather there?
Well, I spent a lot of time, let's say 18 months or so in Germany, and it's like any other part of the world. You have your summers and you have your winters. I was mostly up in the northern part of Germany, sometimes practically on the, what was at one time the old Polish border. Winter times are very cold in that area, damnably cold as a matter of fact.
So when you were sleeping in barracks?
Yeah, we had barracks. The barracks was built up off the ground. That would be so the guard dogs could go underneath and search out any tunnels or any escape hatches we may be digging at the time, which is also a matter of a pastime. We knew we were always going to get caught, but it gave us something to do. But as well as the barracks being up off the ground for that purpose, it also allowed the winds off the Baltic Sea, which is pretty cold in the wintertime, to go whipping underneath and going up through the floorboards of the barracks where most of us were sleeping. We didn't have bunks or beds toward the end.
Was there a lot of sickness?
No, not really. The Germans did give us, if we did get sick and, common colds or anything of that nature, we had medical treatment. One thing you must understand, there are two distinct types of prisons in Germany. You had your concentration camps. These were devoted to political prisoners, Jews, people within Germany itself that disagreed with the government. That's where you had your atrocities. The prisoner of war camps, although they were not pleasant, I didn't see any instances of physical cruelty per se while I was there. Mostly you're cold, hungry, and bored.
But did you hear about them, the concentration camps?
Oh yes, we heard about the concentration camps. As a matter of fact, it was one of my sadder experiences that when we finally got ourselves out of the prison camp, we went over and liberated a concentration camp. And I saw things there that I really don't like to talk about.
Okay. After the war was over, when you came home, was there a welcome home and all this stuff?
Oh, you members of your family and friends. I don't recall anybody throwing a parade for me. No. But,
no, I mean for the POWs. There was no...
No. As a matter of fact, when I came back, the war in Europe was over. The war in Asia was still going on. And we were ticketed to go to the Japanese War, which seemed kind of silly to us. We'd spent some time as prisoners, and there was really no reason for us to keep going on, we felt, but I guess they needed pilots and aircrew members, so until the war in Japan was actually over, we thought that we were going to have to go fight over there as well.
But you didn't?
No. VJ Day occurred before we had to go back.
Okay, when you came back, how long were you in a hospital, or where did they send you when you came back?
Oh, I was being separated from the service in Santa Ana and was maybe 10-15 minutes from actually getting out of the service. Somebody came up and told me I had to report back to the medics, and when I went back there, they told me that they had discovered a spot on my lung. That was later diagnosed as tuberculosis. I went through a couple of Army hospitals, was discharged to a private institution up in Pasadena, and spent 17 months and 17 days up there.
17 months, 17 days.
17 months, 17 days, and I took 17 pills a day for 17 months and 17 days.
Okay, did you have any close friends that died in the war?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what was one of your worst experiences in the war?
Well, I've mentioned one of them already, and that was helping to liberate the concentration camp. Perhaps the other one was when we were in a prison camp down in southern part of Germany, Nuremberg, and the 8th Air Force the day before had come over and destroyed a good deal of the town. The Germans were hard-pressed in civilian capacities to pick up the dead, the wounded, and they asked for volunteers from the prison camp to go out and take care of the American pilots and aircrew men that had gone down, and to try to pick up a body that whose parachute didn't work from about 22,000 feet wasn't pleasant.
Okay. Did you think the war was for a good cause, or you did something to help the country?
Yeah, we all thought we were doing. Now you're asking this from 19...
Do you think it was worth it?
Yeah, I think it was worth it. Had not necessarily America or the United States, but all the Western allies not taken a stand against the Germans, it would be a different world today, I'm sure. For that part, I think it was for a good cause. You look back on it now, and it's difficult. It's awfully difficult to philosophize about that. You would probably be better off or better prepared to tell me because you studied it.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, dear.
Thank you.